What's going on, everybody? This is Derek J407 here to talk to you about the finals of the G1 Climax, the 28th annual G1 Climax from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Just ended earlier this morning, and I just got done watching it only a few minutes ago. I probably would have done it earlier, but the post-match celebration of Tanahashi was just so overwhelming. Just the amount of respect that crowd had for Tanahashi throughout the entire, the respect they have for him in general was just so much for me that I had to just watch it. I was enthralled in all of it, but eventually I had to stop it at some point. But yes, it was Hiroshi Tanahashi who won the G1 Climax this year, defeating Kota Ibushi in what many were calling a fantastic match, and I would definitely concur. Tanahashi and Ibushi, I figured they would put on a great match, and that's exactly what the hell they did. Great back and forth match between the two of them, and I loved it. And Tanahashi winning, I couldn't say it was a surprise, but I'll get more into that when we get to that, because this entire G1 tournament has been amazing. Unfortunately, I've had a busy schedule, so I haven't been able to watch every single match of the G1 this year like I did last year and even the year before. But there's always maybe one or two matches that I miss. But this year it was about maybe 4 or 5. But a lot of the key matches, especially some of the ones that got high praise, I managed to watch. But this entire G1 has been an amazing tournament. Just great wrestling from everyone involved, especially my hats off to one Tomohiro Ishii, who had just great match after great match after great match with the likes of Zack Sabre Jr. and of course Kenny Omega, which was one of the best matches of the entire year, let alone this tournament. So much respect to everyone who was involved in this year's tournament. But of course, to set up the match at the finals here, we had the two final matches in the A and B block on Friday and Saturday. On Friday, it was Tanahashi versus Kazuchika Okada. Of course, a renewal of their wonderful rivalry, one of the best rivalries in wrestling history. So they had a terrific match that went to a time limit draw. They went to a 30-minute draw, and by virtue of the draw, Tanahashi won the A block. He was trying to win. He was trying to pin Okada, especially towards the end there. He was trying to get the pinfall victory over Okada, because I don't believe Tanahashi has pinned Okada since, has it been like 2, maybe 3 years at this point? I'm not even sure. But he didn't get the pinfall, but it went to a draw. But he did end up winning the A block. And then on Saturday, it was a match a lot of people were looking forward to, Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega. And they put on a great match. It was pretty brutal. They didn't, they didn't hold back from one another. They beat the holy hell out of each other. At one point, Omega planted Ibushi on his head and neck in a brutal looking spot. One of the most brutal spots of the match, though, was Kota Ibushi's moonsault knee, like diving knees. He does the moonsault, but when he comes down, it's knee first, right into your gut and midsection, and it looked brutal. And it looked like he just kneed the life out of Kenny Omega on that move. But in the end, it was Ibushi who picked up the big win over Kenny Omega. I think he hit the Kamigoye knee strike and got the win over him. There was a 4-way tie, though, between Ibushi, Omega, I think Naito, and maybe Zack Sabre Jr., if I'm not mistaken. But by virtue of Ibushi beating all of them, he beat Sabre, he beat Naito, and then of course he just got done beating Omega. So that is what catapulted him to being the winner of the B block. So all of that set up the finals of the G1 on this show. There were other matches on the show other than the finals of the G1. I didn't watch all the matches. I kind of skimmed through most of them, but some of the more notable ones, I guess, like for instance, Cody and Hangman Page, they had a tag team match against Juice Robinson and Dave Finlay that saw Cody and Page pick up the win. Cody pinned Robinson in the match after he hit him with Den's Fire. And afterwards, he was holding the U.S. Championship and basically set out his intentions to challenge for the U.S. title against Juice Robinson. So that might be a match for Wrestle Kingdom next year. He mentioned Kairi Sane, I think, called Juice Robinson like a ripoff of Kairi Sane. So very weird hearing Cody mention, NXT superstar Kairi Sane, who could be the new NXT Women's Champion, I believe this Saturday at TakeOver Brooklyn. I'll be there in attendance to see that, whether she can do it or not. But so that was one match. There was also a 6-man tag team match with Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Taiji Ishimori against the Young Bucks and Marty Scurll. It was originally non-title because what's his name? I forgot. The president of New Japan, he didn't want them getting a title shot because the Bucks and Scurll are the 6-man tag team champions. So this was originally a non-title, but then the Bucks wanted the title match and the fans and all that kind of stuff. So they went ahead and made it a title match, and that was a mistake because towards the end of the match, a bunch of chaos and all that kind of stuff. Scurll was about to do like the finger break move on Tonga Loa, but then out of nowhere, Tama came in and hit the stun gun, or the gun stun, I should say, and got the win for the team. So himself, Tonga Loa, and Ishimori ended up winning the 6-man tag team titles, but they didn't care about winning the 6-man tag team titles, even though they wanted them. They threw them away after the match. So the stuff that they've been doing ever since the big split that at the Cow Palace show back in the States, like last month or whatever, this entire G1, they've been interfering in matches, they've been racking up DQ losses and all that kind of stuff, and I think it came down on them like they can't interfere in any of the matches in the B block finals because they would have been suspended for 3 months. Clearly that didn't happen. But now they win championships that they weren't originally scheduled to fight for, and then they threw them away. So it's hard to tell what direction they're going to go with these guys. But hey, Tama Tonga and Roman Reigns roasting each other on Twitter was entertaining. So there is entertainment to be found here. There was also a match with Los Ingobernables, Naito, Evil, Sonata, and Bushi. They beat Minoru Suzuki, Zack Sabre Jr., El Desperado, and Kanemaru. And after the match was over, Suzuki was just going to town on a bunch of people on the outside, including some young lions or young boys or whatever. Just putting a bunch of people in submissions and slapping people and all that stuff. But so I guess that's a big feud, especially with Naito and Zack Sabre Jr. That's a feud that I could definitely watch play itself out. Another match, we had Tomohiro Ishii, Jay White, and Toru Yano taking on Kenny Omega, Chase Owens, and Yujiro Takahashi in a pretty good match. It ended with Ishii he beat Owens with the Brainbuster. But after the match, that's where the real fun began. He basically challenged Omega for the championship, he grabbed and got his hands on the championship itself and basically challenged him. So they had one of the best matches in the entire tournament. So if it leads to an actual championship match between now and Wrestle Kingdom next year, that's perfectly fine with me. I would love to see those two tear it up for the championship. So that was that. And also there was another tag team match. I know New Japan and their tag team matches. This one was good. It was Kazuchika Okada. I'm sorry, I messed up his name. And Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo. Okada came out in his traditional Rainmaker garb. Throughout the tournament, he was coming out with, the red hair and the balloons and all that kind of stuff. And the commentators were telling the story that now that he lost the championship, he's been free and all that kind of stuff. But that started all the way back at that G1 special in California at the Cow Palace. So that was just continuing throughout the tournament. But he had the robe on and all that kind of stuff. Still had the red hair, but no balloons on this night. And they took on the team of Kushida, I've honestly forgotten the other guy's name, but the main person who was on the team was Rey Mysterio. And we even got a bunch of interaction between Rey Mysterio and Okada. And Rey was able to get the win for his team when he hit the 619 on Yo. So it was good to see Rey Mysterio and Okada mix it up a little bit. And then backstage after the match, they did a post-match conference and all that kind of stuff. They didn't show it, but it was something separate. And Okada announced that he and longtime, manager or whatever you want to call him, Gato, were splitting. So no longer will Gato accompany Okada to his matches and all that kind of stuff. He's been making a lot of changes to his personality and, a lot of stuff about his overall presence and character and stuff ever since that loss to Kenny Omega back at that Dominion show. So I guess a lot of people figured this was bound to happen. I didn't see it coming, but we had it here. And he also mentioned that he wants a match with Rey Mysterio. So again, I'm sure that could happen and I would love to see it. Now, let's get to the finals. Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi. Kota Ibushi had Kenny Omega in his corner. That was announced earlier in the day, but what was not announced, and what came as a total surprise to not only myself, but everyone else in the world. This was something I did not read on Twitter when I woke up to watch this match. I read almost everything else except for the outcome of this match. I managed to avoid that, but I knew Omega was going to be in Ibushi's corner, but I did not know that Katsuyori Shibata was going to be in Tanahashi's corner. Of course, he suffered that catastrophic head injury last year. I think it was last year against Okada, either last year or the year before, against Okada. So of course we don't really see him all that much. So seeing him in Tanahashi's corner was really cool. And we basically get right into the match. So the match itself, like I mentioned before, was fantastic. This was a great match. I can't name every single spot that happened. I can't do a complete breakdown of the match, but I can tell you what I remember, aka what I wrote down, which was a little jumbled at times because I just got so into the action. But here's what I recall. Ibushi early on was trying to hit a lawn dart on Tanahashi, but when he attempted it the first time, it got countered into a sling blade from Tanahashi. So a lot early on, it was really evenly matched, but eventually, shit started to intensify pretty much. At one point, Ibushi hit like an underhook pile driver where his legs are under his arms and he just spikes his opponent like basically head and neck first right down into the mat. That's what he did to Tanahashi, who has a history with neck problems. I think he even had neck surgery. I'm not 100% sure about that. I know Ibushi had neck surgery. So any moves that the two of them do to each other where they just land right on their head or neck, you cringe at it because it's brutal. At one point, Ibushi, that is, hit a moonsault on the outside, but the way he did it, he like kind of twisted when he did it. It was like a 180, I think the commentator said. And by the way, let me just hats off to the commentators, Kevin Kelly. Damn it, I keep forgetting names. Kevin Kelly and the originator, Rocky Romero, the originator of Roppongi Vice. And there was also another one, Chris, again, forgetting names. But mainly Rocky Romero and Kevin Kelly were calling all the action of the G1, and they did a tremendous job, so I wanted to give my respect to them. There was one really cool sequence where the both of them were, and not Kevin Kelly and Rocky Romero, I'm back to the match now with Tanahashi and Ibushi. Both men were on the top rope. Tanahashi was seated on the top rope, and Ibushi was kind of, they were grappling a little bit, and Tanahashi slapped Ibushi off the top rope, and he slapped him out of the ring, but he didn't go completely out of the ring. He hopped down on the apron and then kind of springboarded himself back up right onto the top rope and hit a Hurricane Rana off the top rope. So I thought that was a really cool spot. My words don't do it justice. That was an awesome spot to watch. And then eventually these two just started to slap and chop and palm thrust and all that shit to each other. They just beat the hell out of each other. At one point, it was a legit slap fest between the two of them, just throwing hands at one another. And I believe it was Tanahashi who got the better of it because he ended up hitting him with the straight jacket German suplex, but only good for a 2 count. He went up for the high fly flow, which he hits way too much in most of his matches. I don't know who's worse, him hitting the high fly flow too much or Kenny Omega hitting V-triggers too much. But both of them have a nasty act for hitting their signature moves way too much. And in Tanahashi's case, that's supposed to be his finisher, and he hits it a lot. But he tried to hit a high fly flow, but Ibushi got his knees up. And here's where we go back to that spot from the Ibushi Omega match where Tanahashi's down and Omega hits him with the moonsault double knees, and it just got a huge ooh from the crowd. And it's very cringy because he just comes down with such full force from the knees, and it's like, imagine somebody just dropping down their knees right into your abdomen. That shit looks painful, and Tanahashi sold it as such. Ibushi got him up, hit him with the lawn dart, and in case you don't know what that move is, it's he has him on his shoulder, and he basically runs from one corner side of the ring all the way to the other and just launches them headfirst into the turnbuckle. A very brutal looking spot, especially when you, like I said, you have neck injuries and you're going headfirst into a turnbuckle like that. It's one of the most brutal moves in wrestling. Not the most, but one of them. There was a really cool spot where Ibushi hit a German suplex. They were on the ropes, and literally on the ropes. So Ibushi had Tanahashi on the other side of the ropes, outside or on the ring apron, and while standing on the ropes, Ibushi basically deadlifted him for a German suplex off the apron, over the top rope, all the way crashing down into the onto the mat. He got him up for the Golden Star Powerbomb, and at that point, I thought this was over. I thought Ibushi about to get a huge win this way, but it was only good for a 2 count. So I was pretty shocked at that, and at that point, I'm like, uh-oh, he might not win this, because that was a perfect place to stop it. But he did have one more move in his belt. He was about to go for the Kamigoye knee. He hit the Bomaye knee, which of course Nakamura's move, the Kinshasa. He hit that a few times in the match when he was attempting the Kamigoye, but couldn't get it. But here, he actually went for it one more time, but it got reversed into Tanahashi's twist and shout move, which is like basically a swinging neck breaker. He hit, I believe, 2 of them. Then he hit a dragon suplex, which was only good for a 2 count. But then finally, he went for a high fly flow. And he had Ibushi laying face first into the mat. So he hit the high fly flow onto his back. And then he went back up to the top rope. Ibushi stood up and he hit a high fly flow basically in midair. So basically a cross body. And then with Ibushi down back first, he goes back up, hits him with yet another high fly flow right onto his front, and got the 1, 2, 3, and Tanahashi wins the G1 Climax, the 28th G1 Climax, in a very dramatic finish to a very dramatic match. This was an amazing match to watch. Just couldn't believe it. This was Tanahashi's 3rd G1 Climax victory. I know about the one from a few years ago where he won it and faced Okada at the following year's Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, I was pretty shocked, but not too shocked. I knew. Well, I've said for months now that my thought was that after Kenny Omega wins the championship from Okada, the logical next step would be for Kota Ibushi to win the G1 and then challenge Omega for the championship at Wrestle Kingdom 13. But after Ibushi pinned Omega, I figured, okay, yeah, it makes sense, because now you planted the doubt that he can beat Omega, and Omega can't beat Ibushi pretty much. So then they go to Wrestle Kingdom, and Omega can probably beat Ibushi then. But then I started to think about it, and it's like, well, there is a story to be told with Tanahashi, in that, he's, the ace. They call him the ace of New Japan. He's, probably the most respected guy in New Japan. He is a huge star. But he hasn't won a world championship in, I don't think, years. I think the last time he held the championship was probably 2015. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the last time he held the IWGP championship. So it's been a while since he's had it. So I figured, yeah, he would, him basically, the multi-year veteran coming back for one last shot at the championship. I figured that could be a good story, and I figured that's probably what they're going to tell. So whether they do or not, I'm sure they'll come up with some really cool story, because Omega Tanahashi as the main event of Wrestle Kingdom 13 sounds pretty damn cool to me. And I'm not sure what the rest of the card could be. Like I said, Cody and probably Juice Robinson for the U.S. title could be a match. Hey, Chris Jericho is still the Intercontinental Champion. Maybe he could defend it against someone like Okada or something like that. I think that could be a really good match. Chris Jericho and Okada, are you kidding me? That could be a terrific match. But on this match, on this show, it really just makes me proud that there's such great wrestling outside of WWE right now. And this coming off of a week where they had tickets went on sale for that New Japan ROH show at Madison Square Garden next year, WrestleMania weekend, that it sold out within seconds. So that was really cool. Looking forward to that show. There was today an announcement for the All In show, the Cody Young Bucks self-promoted show coming in Chicago on September 1st. They announced a huge match, Pentagon Jr. taking on Kenny Omega. That's going to be a terrific match. So there's a lot of good stuff out there outside of the WWE bubble. And I'm sorry to drag WWE's name through the mud yet again. Actually, I'm not. I will probably do that. Even though, their big weekends coming up this weekend, Brooklyn and SummerSlam, which I will be at both. I don't know why I'm going to SummerSlam, but I am. But these are going to be some It's a great time to be a wrestling fan outside of WWE, and shows like tonight prove that. So, very exciting stuff. Once again, congratulations to Hiroshi Tanahashi, and thank him and Kota Ibushi for putting on a terrific match to close out a terrific G1 Climax tournament. And that's it for me. I will be back later this week for my SummerSlam and TakeOver predictions, and then after that, of course, TakeOver review, and then SummerSlam. So till then, I will talk to all of you guys later.